Hello everyone, this is Vikram. Again, welcome you all. Hope you are safe at your home, at the location where you are. In this video tutorial series, I am going to start with a new playlist video series of Python Flask framework. In this series of videos, we are going to know what actually the Flask, how to make this Flask application into our web development, what are the features of the Flask, how to install this Flask into our system, and how we are going to develop our applications. So let's get started. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe uh, to get my updated videos. So Flask, what actually the name suggests to you? Flask, what actually the Flask? Why we are requiring this Flask into the Python? So Python Flask is nothing but it is simple web development framework. It is a micro framework which is very easy to use. So all these things we are going to see into this first introduction session of the Python Flask framework. And this is the official website for the Flask. And if you see, it is suggesting welcome to the Flask documentations, which is having all the details which the Flask is compatible with. Why it is known as the micro and why it is more demanding, what are the features it is providing, how to install this with the Python, what are the dependency it required, and if all the installation is successful, then what is the minimal project applications which we can start developing using the Flask, what are the different features of the Flask, debug mode, routing, static files, rendering the templates, session management, even though logging and messaging systems, all the things this Flask framework is supporting and how it is supporting, what is the way to install it that I'm going to start. So in my first video session of the Flask, I'll be providing the roadmap for this Flask tutorial series. Then from the next video, I'll be switching towards the installation of this Flask into our system and writing the very first applications into the PyCharm will be the first example. Once we have the Python Flask is set up into our system, how we can write the test cases for this one, how to deploy this Flask code to our production level, and what other different templates this Flask is supporting, like the Ninja template and other things which we are seeing at our screen right now. Then we have the testing Flask applications, how to test it out, each and every features, logging, logout, all the things is going to be tested. Even though after testing we have some points like if some errors is going to occur into our applications, how we are going to handle that error as well. So all these features is presented and I'll be covering you, walking you through this roadmap which is presented into the official documentation of the Flask. Nothing less than this one, nothing more than that one, even though it can be more than that. So all the things will be getting covered. So we'll start looking into the very first video of the Python Flask development. Let me start with the very basic things, why it is known as micro. So if you want to know about the micro, simply click on this link forward and you will see why it is called micro and what actually this means. So micro, it doesn't mean that it is supporting only a part of the application development. It will take you to a complete Python application development which is going to be deployed into the web and other things. By default, Flask does not include a database abstraction layer, form validation, or anything else where different libraries already exist that can be handled into that. All the things, this documentation, you can be able to read it out from your side. So simply reading and then making the video on this one, it will be very boring kind of the stuff. So I'm not going to make you and feel more boring session over here. Okay, so you can just simply look this one by your own. Even though I will be sharing the official documentation link for Flask into my video description, so you can go through this one. Now, if you see this section, the installation, then here it will talk about what are the prerequisites for installing this Flask into your system. So as you can see, the Flask is minimum requirement for working with the async support into the Flask requirement is Python 3.7 onwards, whatever the version you are using, that is not an issue. So it should be minimum 3.7. Then we have the dependencies. This dependency I will be covering when we are going to make use of this dependency into our code. Then we have the optional dependencies. These are the optional dependency, even though the links is already there, so you can be able to learn it out, read it out if it is required. I'm not telling you that you can go through all these things. Then it will talk about the virtual environment creation, and hope you have seen into the video, very first video, that how we are going to install the PyCharm on the Windows machine. At the time itself, the virtual environment will be getting created. Now it is saying create an environment. So where you want to create the environment, whether you want to create on the Windows or you are going to create on the Mac or Linux. So according to that, these are the different commands. In my case, I'm walking through this, going to walk through Windows operating system. So I'm selecting this Windows over here, and you can see these are the commands that you have to follow it. Okay. Later on, I'll be telling you what actually this command itself. So it is simply make my project. So make dir to make one directory which is known as the my project, and you once you are inside this my project, then you have to install and create the virtual env, which is for the py3 version. So this section I'm not doing right now. Okay, first come to this one, activate the environment. So how we are going to activate the environment? So this is the command using the virtual env, then installing Flask. This is the command. Okay, so what I can be doing over here, that this is the Flask Python installing to my first session itself, you have seen. Now inside this one, if you look over here, virtual environment and everything is already there, but we will try to follow this documentation itself. Okay, so in my next video, I'll be showing you how to install Flask and how to create our first application using Python Flask. So please stay tuned. Thank you.